If drugs or alcohol has got your life turned upside down, you, my friend, are in the right place. You see, my name is Ken, and for 15 years of my life, I had one singular purpose. That was escaping my sober reality. It didn't matter what the substance was, so long as it altered the way I felt about myself. And for 15 years, I never laid my head on the pillow at the end of the night and thought to myself, I think I forgot to get fucked up today. That just never happened. And in the beginning, it was all rainbows and sunshine. But towards the end, my life was a complete wreck. I was on the brink of death, and there was little hope that I would ever change. But fast forward just a few years now, and my life is completely different. I'm back in graduate school, finishing up my PhD in psychology. I'm healthy, I'm happy, my life's enjoyable. I got money in my pocket, I got a savings in the bank. And these simple things just aren't possible when you're in active addiction. And there's a strong possibility that you or a loved one is struggling with addiction. And if that's the case, it's okay. You're in good company. You see, there are hundreds of millions of people who are struggling with addiction. In fact, after the age of 16, 1 in 5 people are already abusing some substance. But the crazy fact is that fewer than 10% of us will ever get better. It looks like you have a better chance of surviving terminal brain cancer than you do kicking a drug habit. And if you're an addict, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. That way I know you're here. Welcome to another segment of This is Recovery. This is a channel that's dedicated to promoting a message of hope for the addict still suffering, but above all, honesty. You see, I can't do anything for you if I can't be real with you. And what I love most about this channel is what it represents. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another. The person I am today just would not have been possible if someone hadn't first helped me. And it's my intention to reach as many millions of people who are out there struggling with addiction, who are weighed down by their choices, people just like me who sought comfort in a substance, and ultimately they got hooked. So take a deep breath, breathe in that sigh of relief, because today we're going to talk about how to unfuck your life. And if you get value from this message, do me a favor, tell your friends, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your story. So we're going to roll right into it. We're going to talk about my subjective history or my subjective experiences as an addict. Okay, I want to show you through my story some of the hallmark features of addiction, which include denial, they include substitution, the fact that it's chronic, it's progressive. Okay, so you're going to see throughout my history, all these features. And it's my hope that while you're listening to me expose all my secrets, that you're able to identify with something and be like, you know what? I've said that, or I've done that, or it looks like me, and this is a very difficult topic to do, to put your stuff out there like this, but I believe in my heart of hearts that it's the right thing to do, because had people in my life said more frequently to me, man, you're not making good choices, maybe things could have turned out differently. In the end, it's okay. I am where I am today, and so it's my pleasure to come back and try to give you guys a hand. All right. See, I was raised in a pretty upstanding family. There was really no history of substance abuses or anything like that. And my introduction to drugs came after I had an injury when I was in the military. I had tore up my pec. And so I was given Oxycontin, some other really powerful painkillers at that time. And one shoulder surgery turned into 3, 4, 5 of them just on the right side before eventually having to move over to the left side. So for, 3, 4, 5 years, I was having, between 1 and 3 surgeries a year. And during that time, I was exposed to the IV narcotics when I'm post-operative. Then I've got I've got your Vicodins, I've got your Percocets, and then you got your, Oxys, all those painkillers that I was just continuing to be given. Pre-surgery, you're given painkillers, post-surgery, you're given painkillers, and at some point, I developed a dependency. And then at some point, I developed an addiction. But it wasn't always that easy to tell, because there's those little things where it's like you get caught in that false sense of security because there's a doctor writing you the prescription that it's okay. And because it's used for legitimate pain, that it's okay. But somewhere along the way for me, that pain that was masking my physical sense became more of like an emotional support for me. And then, without having to spend weeks talking about this, at some point, I remember when I went on a vacation and I did not keep enough of the medication and I got really sick on my vacation. And it was like, holy shit, That's when I realized like just how much of a grip this medication had on me. So I was trying to be like the upstanding, citizen, or really just someone that had like a lot of like, integrity, and I had just a lot of investment in myself. I was damned if I was going to be an addict. I went and sought out a addiction psychiatrist. And, I used a medication called Suboxone, which Suboxone is a partial opiate agonist, and it's designed to help people wean themselves off of narcotics. And that way it minimizes your withdrawal symptoms and things of that nature. And so had really good success with the Suboxone, and it helped me, get off the narcotics. And I thought like, wow, problem solved. Well, in the course of, seeing the psychiatrist, it was suspected that perhaps I had ADD, and that maybe it was believed or hypothesized that the reason I started abusing the narcotics is because of the benefit I got from them. For me, narcotics, they wired me. They made me very energetic. They made me be able to focus on tasks for a long time. And during this time frame, I went and got an undergraduate degree. I had actually gotten 2 of them, so it wasn't like I was some like non-functioning addict. I guess you'd just say it was like a highly functioning addict. I was doing really well for myself at this point in time. And so I was put on Adderall for ADD. And then just a little bit later down the road, I was put on Xanax because I was having anxiety that I had never had before. Granted, I understand a lot more about these things now, and I understand where the anxiety precipitated from was from the side effects of the Adderall, and then just from chronic use of the Xanax, I developed dependency to that. And so for another 5, 6, 7 years, I had an insatiable appetite for Adderall and Xanax. And at some point, it got to where I'm taking like upwards of 10 of these Adderall a day, the 30 milligrams. I'm spending all my paychecks trying to get extra ones. I'm doctor shopping. I'm seeing multiple doctors for prescriptions. Every other month, I'm getting busted by a doctor who catches on, and I've gotten fired from more doctors than I even care to remember. It's quite embarrassing. And so during this time frame, it's, I would have these periods of time where like, a month's supply might last me 2 weeks. And then I'd be fucked. I would be out of everything. And so I would do whatever I had to survive. And so when I couldn't get access to, the Xanaxes or the Adderalls, I knew I had an issue with painkillers. So I refused to go back on painkillers. I stayed away from that because I had just, successfully resolved that. And why would I go back to doing that? I'm totally unaware of the fact that I've got a raging pill issue at this point. And so I started drinking, and so it's like, I wasn't really a fan of alcohol, but like say, generously that my prescription would last me 10 days. My month's supply would last me 10 days. Well, I had the other 20 days of the month that I just had to survive, and in between those periods where I had alcohol, in between those periods where I could get Xanax or other Adderall, I would use alcohol. And so then it just kind of progressed from there. It started with just drinking a couple beers at the end of the night, then a 6-pack, and then a 12-pack. And then, from there, it's like, oh, I need to get the job done quicker. So I start drinking hard stuff. I'm drinking whiskey, I'm drinking scotch, I'm drinking Jack, I'm drinking all the hard stuff, because I'm trying to save on my calories because beer was making me fat. And then I would, like when I had my Adderall, I would take the Adderall so I could stay up longer, not to study, so I could stay up longer drinking. So I'd get myself all keyed up during the day taking Adderall. Then I would try to bring myself down by drinking alcohol at night. And this went on for years. Except for the alcohol started having some serious effects on my relationships, on my employment, on my finances. I mean, that's where the seam started cracking. And that's where things really just came unglued. Because now, 2 DUIs into this, the first time I got my DUI, I'm just the unlucky bastard. It's like, oh, I wasn't really that drunk and I wasn't really doing anything wrong. It's just that I was all geeked out on Adderall, Xanax, and I'm washing it down with a shit ton of liquor, and I'm running to the damn store to get some fast food, and like a moron on the way back, I decide I don't want to wait for the fucking red light, so I blow the red light right in front of a cop, and now I'm getting pulled over. My recollection of the event is, I was like walking this perfect heel to toe, all perfect. The cops have no justification to arrest me, but when I watched that video, when my attorney got that for me, oh my God, horrible. It's no wonder I didn't kill somebody. So that was DUI number 1. So somehow I managed to go 2 more years or something close to that without getting another one. I had just gotten off my probation with the first one when I landed another one. And this time it was in Kansas. And this time they had me dead to rights because the damn cops falling behind me as I'm going up in people's front yards. I'm plowing through mailboxes. Again, like, just amazing. In my mind, though, I was driving perfectly. I had no idea why this cop was pulling me over until I, again, saw the video evidence. You know, so after getting those two DUIs on the second one, I had to do a little time in county, you know, and so it's like I had gone through 2 divorces at this point, several just relationship failure, like everything. Like, I was married to my substances. I spent every waking moment with the getting and using and finding new ways of getting more. I formed all these unhealthy relationships with people because of what they could provide me, whether it was to give me some Adderall or Xanax or drinking buddies. You know, it was just horrible. And then, you know, it wasn't overnight. It took time when it set in. Someone once asked me how long it had been since I had been without being on something. You know, and initially it's like, well, you know, I haven't drank in, you know, whatever the time frame was. And they're like, no, I'm talking about like anything. How long has it been since you've not been on something? And it was like, I thought about it and it was like, it had been 15 years since I had gone without being on something. I mean, it just never really registered, you know, because of all the you know, like when I'm looking back at it, it's like, okay, I had an issue with painkillers, you know, painkillers was the issue. So I did the right thing and I went to a doctor and I went on a Suboxone taper and I managed the shit out of that addiction. I did away with it. I'm not popping, you know, painkillers anymore. Instead, I'm taking Adderall. And it wasn't very much longer before, you know, take 1 tab twice a day where, you know, I'm abusing the hell out of that. And I'm getting all sorts of like side effects like anxiety, not being able to sleep, you know, irritability, all these things. And so it's like not registering that the issue is that I'm abusing my prescription. The issue is that I'm running out of a month's supply in 7 to 10 days. But no, I thought the issue was that I had anxiety, you know, partially because I'm stressed the fuck out about all the time running out of pills. So I go on Xanax, you know, and I start with taking 1 milligram a day. Then I'm taking 2 milligrams and then I'm taking 2 milligrams 2 times a day. You know, and then it's like, now it's like ding, ding, ding. Oh my gosh, looks like I have a drug issue here with this Adderall and this Xanax, but I can't live without those things. I already gave up narcotics and I can't go without these. I'm in college and I need to be able to study and I got terrible anxiety and all these things. So instead of just giving up the pills, which I knew I should have done, I started using drinking. And so foolish me, I kept thinking it was the substance and I didn't realize that it's my fucking brain that's the issue. Okay, so if you're watching this and you're that person that went from drinking beer to hard liquor and then from, you know, one type of hard liquor to another and then from another to another one, if that's you, you got a problem. And if you're that person that sets limits on yourself, like, you know what, I'm only gonna have 2 drinks a day or I'm gonna have 4 or whatever it is, and you can't follow that, you got a problem. I guarantee you, if your 30-day supply of prescriptions isn't lasting but 7 to 10 days, dude, you got a problem. And the crazy thing is these problems don't go away on their own. They don't. And so don't be a dumbass like me where you go from one substance to another, to another, to another. And somehow I was able to cycle through that for 15 years. It wasn't until I was homeless, friendless, jobless, hopeless, all these things before I hit my rock bottom. And instead of just giving up drugs or alcohol, no, what did I do? I tried to commit suicide over it because I was that hopeless. And thankfully, thank God, it didn't happen. And it was when I was spending my mandatory 6-week stay in a state hospital that the light bulb went on. Like, man, I really have a problem. And I know not what to do. I am so lost. My life is so fucking miserable that I just tried to kill myself on my dad's birthday. Who does fucked up shit like that? That's a testament to how sick somebody is. You show up to see your dad on his birthday, you give him a birthday card, tell him you love him, and in the back of your head, you know when you're getting ready to go kill yourself? I mean, I was a selfish motherfucker. putting my family through that kind of stuff. I don't deserve the grace that I've gotten from him, but by golly, I've gotten it. And so when I entered into recovery, I was broken. And the only reason I went into recovery is because I knew what I was doing wasn't going to work. And still, I wasn't quite sure I understood what it meant to turn your life around. Okay, and it would take many more circumstances, many more things. But the first most important thing that I did was I recognized I had a big fucking problem. The second thing I did is I recognized that I'm the fucking problem. The third thing I realized is that I'm the only motherfucker who can fix this shit. You gotta quit blaming other people. It ain't their fault, it's your fucking fault. Still, giving up 15 years of bad habits is a lot harder than it looks. But what I did do is I went into Narcotics Anonymous, and that's where the real recovery began. And I could talk about this stuff for hours, but I'm not gonna do that today, because what I would like for you to do is I'd like for you to tune in to some of my other videos. If you feel like you've gotten value from this message, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. Tell a friend, leave me a comment. I'm dying to hear your story. Thanks again.